I am pleased to have Wes Anderson here to talk about this film. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
What's interesting about Rushmore is that, for me, it is sort of come out of nowhere to sort of have this buzz about it. Why is that?
Well, the other movie we made, almost no one saw, so I think that contributes to the out of nowhere feeling.
It didn't explode at the box office?
No, it was released very quietly, and it sort of built up a little cult following eventually, but it had a few fans that were in the movie business, like Roth, who kind of set us up with Disney. And then the other thing, the movie doesn't have a lot of stars. It's got Bill Murray, who's playing a supporting role, but most of the other people are sort of new faces. So I think it was kind of a surprise to some people.
Your lead was, I mean, you looked a long time to find somebody, and then this guy just walks in and you say, magic.
Yeah, right. We looked for a year trying to cast this part, because it was the kind of thing where the whole movie is riding on the shoulders of this kid. You know, the character's 15 years old. And we had looked all over America. We looked in Canada. We had casting directors. I went through 4 rounds of casting directors in LA, and I had them all over the place. Yeah. And at one point, we were even looking in England, even though the character is American, because we were thinking that we were thinking like it could be a kid doing a fake English accent, which would actually be a real English accent, because we'd be using an English actor. And we were desperate. We were just coming up with really bizarre ideas. And then finally, this kid, Jason Schwartzman, walked in. And I just knew within about 3 minutes that we could actually make the movie, that we weren't going to have to shut down.
What did he have that made you so euphoric?
Well, I think the main things were, the first thing is, I mean, the other movie we did is almost all with unknown, or people who just weren't actors, non-actors. And so I'd kind of had some experience with casting those kind of, you know, people. And it's a thing where as soon as they start playing a scene, you can tell if they can be real or not. Yeah. You know, they can either do it or not. And then beyond that, it was that and he was very real. And then the other thing was he just had a real instant intelligence and energy and sort of a force, which was going to be very important because the character does some awful things, and I still want us to be with him and pulling for him, you know, and it needed someone who would kind of, you know, bring the audience along and they would stay with them. So. Was
Murray an easy sale?
Murray was...
You're not paying him big bucks.
No, we couldn't pay him. We wrote it for him. But we thought we weren't going to get him, because we thought we couldn't afford him. We thought we wouldn't be able to get to him, get him to read it, or any of that kind of stuff. And what ended up happening was his agents knew the script, and his agents were fans, so they put it in front of him, and we had a couple other mutual friends who kind of promoted us to him. Yeah. And so then what happened was, a week after we gave it to him, he called me, and he called me, you know, he sort of said hello, and then he started talking about this Kurosawa movie called Redbeard. Right. Which is about a doctor, and we spoke for about an hour about Redbeard, which I had no idea what it had to do with anything that we were discussing. And at the end of it, he said, "Yeah, I think I'll do Rushmore with you." Yeah. And
you don't quite know why he said it. You just knew that he had an opportunity to talk about.
Yeah.
Kurosawa.
He wanted to talk about Redbeard at that moment. So.
You'd seen Redbeard.
I hadn't seen Redbeard.
You hadn't seen it.
He was telling me I needed to see it, and then he took me on a tour of Redbeard, and then I saw it. And then I still don't get it. Really, so.
Have you told him you don't get it and you don't quite understand it? And what's the problem here, Bill?
I think I just did.
You did. I think you did, too. Roll tape. This is Murray on this program tonight talking about you. He was nervous to be working with you. You know that.
I don't know that.
That's true. You read it. I mean, everything I read, I believe.
Well, he fears me, I guess.
No. I mean, it would come up. I mean, he really wanted to create this working relationship with you, and would whisper and talk softly and sort of...
Well, he's a film student.
If he wanted you to do it over, he wouldn't make a big scene about it.
Right. Well, that's good manners, you know, that's tact. And, you know, he's learned that from the really great directors operate that way. They don't shout out at you. The bozos shout it out. Do it louder and don't scratch your nose when you do it. All right, roll again. You know, they talk like that. But the soft guys and the smart ones and the great ones come up and they go, and it's just very private thing. So I read the script, but the script was so precisely written. I mean, you could tell that this guy knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. You knew exactly what he wanted to make, exactly how he wanted each scene to go. And I've never really seen one that was that precise. I looked at it and I went, this is different. This guy knows exactly what he's doing, and I'll go with it. Anybody that can write that well, I feel confident in.
Were you intimidated by him?
Well, before I met him, I was a little terrified.
Terrified?
Yeah, because I'd heard stories about him, about, you know, at first you know that he's a guy who can walk into a crowd of people and take control of it in a way that I never could. You know, he's really funny. Everyone loves him already, and he's big and everything. And then I'd also heard about, you know, him throwing someone in a lake on one thing, and I'd heard, you know, that he could, you know, if he didn't like the situation, he's gonna fix it in his way. Yeah. So I was scared before I met him. As soon as I met him, I felt so comfortable with him. I felt he was so intelligent, and he was so clearly getting involved with us for all the right reasons, and he wanted to do what we wanted to do. And then I just realized everything that I was afraid of, I can use all that stuff. He's going to bring that to this, and, you know, and we can benefit from it.
Is directing hard?
You know, if you're a shy person, I think there are parts of it where it's a little scary. I mean, like, I'm not necessarily that outgoing in general, and you've got to be when you're doing a movie. You know, you've got all these people. But it's such a nice feeling when you get this group together and you're all kind of working on the same thing together. And most of it is, I mean, the other good feeling is that when we're doing a movie, I happen to know that I'm the one who does have all the answers to every question they're going to ask, because I prepared all this stuff and I know the script better, and I've worked on it all this time, and I have ideas for how I want it to be. So I can take just an automatic confidence knowing that I have the right answers.
But it's important that you have the right answers, and important that they at least think you do.
That's true. That's true. And I think a lot, and also, you know, the people, like the first movie with Bottle Rocket, I used all the same crew from Bottle Rocket. You know, all the same department heads, the cameraman and the production designer and the editor and all those people. So they know me and they've worked with me. So the new people who come on sort of look to them and see the way they look to me, and that can kind of help set the tone of things also. Because what I want it to be is everyone feeling like it's not going to work. It's like an authoritarian kind of thing, because that's just not my style. That's not really who I am. I don't think I could carry that off at all.
So what's the hardest thing?
The hardest, well, the scariest thing with this one was that I was putting together, with the other movie we did, the cast was all a group of friends, and the movie came together because we were a group of people who wanted to do a movie. With this one, I had to assemble a cast of people, and some of them were very experienced actors like Bill Murray and Seymour Cassell, who's in it, and this English actor Brian Cox, and then some of them were newcomers. But I wanted it to be a group of people who would come together and become friends. It's a movie that's sort of about friendship, and I wanted that kind of feeling on the set. And I was worried about how that would happen, how they would interact, and it came together very nicely. But it was the thing that caused me the most anxiety, I think.